2 days after my husband's funeral, my entitled in-laws walked into my house. They didn't bring comfort. They didn't bring tears. They brought a demand for my bank accounts. My name is Sarah. 2 years ago, I married Thomas, believing his parents, Richard and Beatrice, were classy, upper-class Bostonians. But beneath the luxury cars and country club memberships, they were drowning in debt. I, however, owned a successful software company and a downtown condo I bought on my own. When Thomas was diagnosed with terminal cancer, my world fell apart. For 8 months, I lived in the hospital, spending my savings on his care. His parents barely showed up. When Thomas passed away, I felt like my heart had been ripped out. And then came the knock on the door. Richard and Beatrice sat at my dining table. Richard cleared his throat and said, "Sarah, now that Thomas is gone, you don't need this big condo or your business income. As his parents, we are entitled to his estate." I stared at them. My husband had been buried less than 48 hours ago, and they were acting like vultures. Thomas's medical bills drained everything, I said, my voice shaking. "And this condo and business are mine. You get nothing. Get out." Beatrice stood up, her face twisted in rage. "You greedy little witch," she hissed. "We will ruin you." A week later, I was served with a lawsuit. They were trying to freeze my business accounts, claiming Thomas was a secret co-owner. They wanted to strip me of everything I had worked for, but they made a fatal mistake. They underestimated a grieving wife. I hired a top-tier forensic lawyer. We didn't just look at my marriage. We dug deep into Richard and Beatrice's finances to prove they were acting out of malicious greed. And what we found was shocking. Richard had been embezzling hundreds of thousands of dollars from a local children's charity foundation to pay his country club debts. Beatrice had been running a tax evasion scam through her boutique for 5 years. The day of the court hearing arrived. Their lawyer arrogantly claimed I was a cold-hearted widow, hoarding family money. Then my lawyer stood up. He didn't just present my bank statements. He handed a thick blue folder directly to the judge. "Your Honor, we request this lawsuit be dismissed, and we submit evidence of systemic financial fraud by the plaintiffs." The courtroom went dead silent. The judge put on her glasses, flipped through the pages, and her face turned bright red with fury. She slammed her gavel down so hard the wood cracked. "This case is dismissed with prejudice," the judge boomed. "Furthermore, I am handing these documents directly to the federal prosecutors. This court will not be used as a playground for criminals trying to rob a grieving widow." Beatrice collapsed onto the floor, screaming. Richard looked like he was about to vomit. 2 months later, federal agents raided their suburban home. Richard was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison for grand larceny and charity fraud. Beatrice lost the house, her business, and her reputation. They came into my home trying to steal my future, but they ended up destroying their own. The family name they cared so much about is now a prison number. And me? I'm finally healing, knowing that karma always collects its debt.